In a labyrinth of worn-out memories, stashed in a forgotten corner of lower Manhattan, Amos Redwood resided. A veil of solitude wrapped his austere, third-floor apartment, its somber mood pierced only by the furtive dance of lamplight over stacks of newspapers, the parchment warriors of truth he'd sired over the decades. His life, a chiseled tribute to ink, paper, and the relentless pursuit of honesty, was a monument to both his virtues and his vices. His gaze, an opalescent gleam forged from countless sunsets in the merciless grit of time, strayed over his collection. There, in the faded headlines, the echoes of his younger self whispered tales of a world on the brink. It was a world that demanded he be generous with his time, persistent with his questions, and brave in the face of harsh realities. A world that had been a crucible for his spirit. Yet his eyes still held an incandescent spark, the ember of a fire stoked by the biting cold winds of his childhood. Shadows from an impoverished past loomed in the deeper recesses of his apartment, their forms etched in the threadbare rug beneath his worn-out loafers, in the peeling wallpaper that bore silent witness to the years gone by, in the kitchen that knew too many nights of canned soup and stale bread. It was a bitter winter evening when the envelope arrived, anonymous and terse, with a note that read, "Look into Reverend Blackburn in Sterling, Alaska." His instincts, honed by years of navigating treacherous waters of political subterfuge and organized crime, tingled with a rare sense of foreboding. A religious leader, shrouded in mystery, held sway over a far-flung town. What could be the hook? Uncovering the seedier side of life had never been a chore for him. It was a challenge, an opportunity to expose the truth that simmered beneath the surface of appearances. But this was different. The unassuming message sparked a glimmer of purpose in his weary heart. It promised more than a story. It hinted at an elusive truth that lurked in the shadows, a key to unlocking a mystery far greater than the sum of its parts. With the glint of a seasoned hunter in his eyes, he made his decision, packing his belongings and stepping out into the frigid New York night, a lone figure swallowed by the city's pulse. His destination, Sterling, Alaska, a place of biting cold and the tantalizing promise of a story unlike any he'd pursued before. Amos journeyed to Sterling, Alaska, a pilgrimage from the mundane into the mystic, propelled by the silent whispers of his unyielding instinct. He stepped off the plane into the virgin snowfall, an ancient scribe venturing into a realm where faith and mystery wove a curious tapestry against the backdrop of frost and solitude. The quaint town, huddled against the relentless Alaskan wilderness, hid its secrets well beneath a blanket of tranquility. Sterling, in all its frosted, placid beauty, held a melancholic silence, a strange mix of pastoral calm and an enigmatic hush. The quaint hamlets and winding trails were just a stage. The true play unfolded in the gazes of the townsfolk. Their eyes, quiet as the whispering pines, held a myriad of untold tales, all centered around the charismatic figure of Reverend Blackburn. It was at the heart of the town, beneath a constellation of neon lights, that the Lambs of Night nightclub resided. Its facades were nondescript, merging seamlessly with the rustic town aesthetic. Yet its mystique was palpable. From behind its curtained windows and shuttered doors, muffled laughter and hushed whispers, a rhythm of hypnotic music emanated, a siren song for the curious and the lost. Determined to fathom the mystery that cloaked the Reverend, Amos became a familiar figure in the shadowy corners of the nightclub. He watched, listened, and observed. He wove through the crowds, catching snippets of hushed reverence for the religious leader and the inexplicable aura of adoration that he commanded. Through the winding labyrinth of conversations and confessions, the sharp edges of his journalist instincts carved out a pattern. Reverend Blackburn was not merely a shepherd for his flock. He was their beacon, their rock, their deliverer. His sermon wasn't simply faith. It was an intoxicating blend of euphoria and absolution that left his congregation in awe and obsession. One evening, the whispers in the wind brought him something he'd been hunting: abyss gaze. It was mentioned in hushed reverence, a phrase that rippled through the club's murmuring patrons, often followed by vacant smiles and far-off gazes. It wasn't just a drug, it was a sacrament, a part of the evening's ritualistic festivities that swayed with a rhythm older than the town itself. Driven by an insatiable thirst for the truth, Amos devised a plan. He'd get his hands on the abyss gaze and unravel its secrets. It was a dangerous game, yet he was fueled by the open-mindedness that had seen him through the underbelly of the world's darkest secrets. His opportunity came in the form of a young waitress, Emily, whose eyes held an innocent curiosity and a tangible fear of the enigmatic Reverend. Seeing a chance to uncover the truth, he struck up a conversation using the comforting guise of a sympathetic ear. In their whispered exchanges, punctuated by lingering silences, Emily revealed she could procure a sample of abyss gaze. The vial sat in Amos's trembling hands, a harbinger of chaos in a small, liquid-filled ampule. A mind enhancer that promised communion with the beyond was an elusive yet potent piece in this strange puzzle. With Emily's help, he managed to send a sample for analysis, while the rest of Sterling continued its languid dance with the dark. Days turned into nights, a cyclical waltz that pulsed with an undercurrent of tension. The nightclub throbbed with the feverish energy of its patrons. The rituals grew more intense, and the adoration for the Reverend began to border on fanatical devotion. In this orchestrated chaos, Amos found himself in a paradox of time. He delved into stories of the townsfolk, uncovering layers of their devotion as if peeling an otherworldly fruit. From the oldest patron, Mildred, he learned of the Reverend's miraculous arrival during their harshest winter, promising salvation. From the burly lumberjack, Jonah, he heard of the euphoria it brought, a bliss that rendered their mundane struggles insignificant. The findings about abyss gaze arrived in a sterile envelope, promising to shatter the quaint simplicity of Sterling. The drug didn't merely enhance the mind, it was a conduit, a catalyst to open doors into unknown cosmic realities. It hinted at communication with something beyond their comprehension, a being referred to in hushed whispers as the Dark Shepherd. This revelation rattled the bedrock of Amos's understanding. He was not merely wading in a local mystery, but had plunged into a cosmic conspiracy. Yet instead of retreating, he felt an eerie pull, a curiosity that tugged at the cornerstones of his sanity. He began to see Sterling in a different light, a pulsating organ in the cosmic entity's body. The town was under the Dark Shepherd's influence, being molded by its subtle, omnipresent touch. From the eerie silence that blanketed the town to the fervor that danced in the nightclub, everything was an orchestrated symphony conducted by Reverend Blackburn. Amos's pursuit of truth evolved into a personal obsession. He felt an inexplicable draw towards the Dark Shepherd, a horrifying yet intriguing entity that held the town in its abysmal grasp. His nights were filled with vivid nightmares of otherworldly landscapes, where formless horrors danced amidst impossible geometries, each dream a testament to the cosmic horror that was slowly permeating his reality. A hush descended over Sterling, a foreboding calm before the storm. Amos, drawn by the pulsating rhythm of the cosmic nightmare that had wrapped its tendrils around the town, found himself standing outside the Lambs of Night nightclub. A sense of fateful dread, interwoven with an intoxicating curiosity, tingled in his veins. The decision to use the abyss gaze was not taken lightly. It was a desperate, reckless move, a plunge into the gaping maw of the cosmic beast. Yet the need to know, to unravel the horrifying truth gnawed at his spirit, an itch that could only be scratched by staring into the abyss itself. Guided by Emily, he consumed the elixir in the pulsating heart of the club amidst chanting and ecstatic dancing. As the crowd swayed in fervor around him, the world warped, twisted, and shattered. Reality came apart at the seams, surrendering to the ethereal landscape that abyss gaze revealed. Formless shapes wove in and out of existence, twisting into geometries that no sane mind could comprehend. A realm beyond the stars, the cosmos, and reality unfurled before Amos, his psyche floundering on the shores of this alien world. Within this tumultuous chaos, he sensed a presence, an entity that throbbed with an insidious, dark allure. the Dark Shepherd, a monolithic shadow, formless and ever-changing, a horror beyond comprehension. It pulsed with a maddening rhythm, its silent whispers echoing through the realms, promising knowledge and purpose. Confronted with the mind-shattering reality, Amos was a mariner lost in an ocean of cosmic dread. Yet amidst the fear, a fragment of his journalistic spirit clung to sanity, documenting the encounter with the cosmic deity. He noted its influence over Sterling, its symbiotic connection with the abyss gaze, and the terrifying epiphany that Reverend Blackburn was not its servant, but its herald. As Amos drifted back to reality, he was a changed man. His eyes, once filled with the spark of curiosity and the flame of truth, now reflected the inky abyss of cosmic horror he'd gazed into. Reverend Blackburn's role in this orchestration of horror was evident, but the town's fate remained a daunting enigma. Haunted by the nightmarish communion with the Dark Shepherd, Amos found himself standing at a crossroads. His life had been a testament to exposing the truth, but what he now knew was a truth too monstrous to reveal, too horrific for the world to comprehend. In the solitude of his room, he wrestled with his conscience, the knowledge gnawing at his sanity like a relentless beast. The voices of the cosmos whispered in his ears, a chorus that promised understanding and purpose in the surrender to the Dark Shepherd. His gaze strayed to the vial of abyss gaze, the remnants of the elixir shimmering with the spectral hues of the cosmic abyss. The days rolled on in a timeless haze, his obsession with the Dark Shepherd growing. He frequented the Lambs of Night nightclub, each visit a step further into the embrace of the entity. Reverend Blackburn, once the object of his investigation, now stood as a guiding figure, an emissary of the otherworldly deity. In hushed conversations veiled beneath the euphoric cacophony of the nightclub, the Reverend shared tales of the Dark Shepherd, its origin lost in the realms of time and space, its power, a pulsating rhythm of cosmic might that bound them all in a harmonious dance of submission and enlightenment. In a moment of terrifying clarity, Amos realized his purpose. He was not merely an observer, a journalist documenting the town's strange narrative. He was a participant, a vessel for the cosmic entity's will. The power of the Dark Shepherd had selected him as its chronicler, a scribe to document the rise of a new order. His articles, once a beacon of truth, became a testament to the Dark Shepherd. The cosmic horror that had once threatened to consume him now fueled his words, filling his narratives with cryptic hints of the deity's influence over Sterling. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like it and subscribe to our channel, where you can find more similar stories, and click on the bell icon to never miss one. There is plenty more cosmic horror to come from the Eldritch Tales Factory. Stay tuned, and until next time.